Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of the viewers from around the world. This is your host Vaibhav. For today's session of JForex Indicators Explained, we will be considering one interesting indicator, the McClellan histogram. This is a indicator which is derived using the McClellan oscillator and its signal line. So this indicator simply plots the difference between the McClellan oscillator and the McClellan signal line, and using that difference we get plotting which gives us idea of what the momentum is. If it is above zero, then it is considered bullish, and if it is below zero, then that is considered bearish. This is very much like MACD histogram, and in classical interpretation the McClellan oscillator is also quite similar to the MACD indicator. So these two indicators have various features in common. So you will find it very easy to understand the workings of these indicators. So let us now head to the JForex 4 platform, the newly released trading platform from the Dukascopy Bank SA. This is the Euro USD chart with the candle period being defined at hourly. Here I will find the McClellan histogram. There are two ways to go about it. You can go for F3, the add indicator option, or you can do a quick search. F4, all you have to do is type in the name in quick search, or if you want to know where it is, then it is listed amongst the momentum indicator just below the McClellan oscillator. Last session we considered the oscillator. Now we will have this histogram. All right, so here it is, or even if you do a quick search, it will be pretty easy to find. All right, so here it is. The default parameters are 19 and 39 for the calculation of the McClellan oscillator. As I explained to you in the last session, we take the difference between the advances and decline for 19 candle periods, and then we take the EMA of that difference. We do the same thing for the 39 period also. We take the difference between the advances and decline for last 39 candle periods, and then we take the EMA of it, and we deduct the 39 EMA from the 19 EMA, and that's how we arrive at McClellan oscillator. And then we take the 9 period EMA of that McClellan oscillator, and that's how we arrive at the McClellan signal line. And when we deduct the we take out the difference between the oscillator and the signal line, we get these histogram, and it works pretty much in a similar fashion. When we have the output above zero, it is considered bullish, and when we have output below zero, that is considered bearish. So there is not much difference in its interpretation from the MACD histogram. It is kind of similar, only you will have slight deviation in its plotting, and that is because for each indicator we have output which is uniquely defined. Even for this indicator, depending on the input parameters, you will have output varying for the calculation period. So here this is with the use of default parameters that 19, 39, 9, and the moving average is of exponential moving average type. For finding the trade signals, you can utilize the zero line. You can use this zero line as a marker. So as and when trend changes from one side to another side, for example, today the trend changed from bearish to bullish around 13 GMT, and if you were to go long around that price, you would be sitting in quite a good amount of profit for the day. And if we look at its prior price moves, we had this bearish momentum setting in last session yesterday, and from there on it declined substantially, and only in today's session we saw the turnaround in its output, as it is accompanied by a strong price move. So we are seeing these McClellan histogram output jumping quite high. And if we go back in time, when the momentum has been bearish, we have seen significant downward spiral in the instrument of our choice, that is Euro USD. And whenever it went into a correction phase and consolidation phase, we saw it reversing its output from bearish to bullish. So you can use these parameters to initiate the new trade, or you can use it to go for the profit booking. Both ways it should work fine. Now let us see what are the ways, some of the ways in which we can customize this indicator. And also there is another interpretation, another way to use it. There are going to be many ways in which you can take advantage of this indicator. And one of that way is to look for the divergence. When you have the price moves in a consolidation phase, but the signal changes for the MACD histogram, and after that, if we don't really have big price moves, and again we have this McClellan histogram changing direction from bullish to bearish, I think in such circumstances it is better to go for the initiation of the new trade, as that signifies the end of the consolidation phase, and a new move is likely to be much stronger, so we can count on that. All right. And as is the case with any other indicator, this indicator also has some drawbacks. When we have the underlying instrument moving in a narrow range, we don't really see any significant move on either side. In such circumstances, we will have the the McClellan histogram changing its output frequently from one side to another. Sometimes it will be bullish, sometimes it will be bearish, but on 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 balance, there is not going to be any significant price move in the underlying instrument. The range is going to hold, so we can call such signals as noise, but you have to be aware of this drawback, and know when the signals are trustworthy and which signals to ignore. So you will have to define these two parameters accordingly, and only after that you will be able to make good use of this indicator. Now let us consider its editing options. So depending on what kind of applied price you are using, you will have slightly different output for this indicator. So pay attention to its charting, and depending on what kind of price point you want to use for the calculation, there is going to be slight deviation in its output. All right. And coming to its calculation of the MA periods, if you want this short MA period, long MA period to be same as the default, then you can use the same combination. But if you want to play around and see how things will work out when you reduce or increase this combination, then you can try out that as well. Now here I have changed the calculation period for the MACD oscillator. So here these two values changed, and as a result of that the histogram value has also changed, as we are using shorter time periods for the calculation of this indicator, and that has made this indicator more responsive to the recent price fluctuation. So we will have the indicator becoming more responsive when we have these parameters lowered, parameters using the shorter time frame. But when we use larger time frame for the calculation of the indicator, then you will see that its output is going to lag. There will be significant lag, and only after sustained period of trend we will have the output changing from one side to another. So you have to decide on the trade-off between the responsiveness and the reliability of the indicator. So here you can notice that only after significant price reversal we get the trend change confirmed by the indicator when you are using the larger time period for the calculation of the indicator. All right, so this is how it is. Now you can also vary the moving average type. Here I will restore it back to 19 and 39 combination. The default setup, the signal MA period remains same as it is. You can vary it also. Let's try out how it will work when we use 20 as its calculation period. So we are using now larger time frame for the calculation of this indicator. All right. Coming to the type of moving average, depending on what kind of moving average you are using, you are also going to see significant change in its output for the MACD oscillator. When we use SMA instead of EMA, the response time for the indicator is going to be more, as SMA lags EMA. EMA will be more responsive to the recent price moves, but the SMA is going to take its time, and it is sometimes better to filter out the noise, but at the same time you can miss out on significant price moves before the reversal actually is confirmed by the use of SMA. So both these factors are there. WMA, DMA, TMA, CMA. So Trima plotting looks quite interesting here. You get these smooth curves when you are using Trima as the calculation point for this indicator. AMA, MAMA. We are not seeing any histogram plotting when you are using the MAMA indicator. I'm thinking it is taking little bit time, but it should be there. Let's try out T3. Oh, all right, now we got the plotting with the T3 and it is looking a lot more smoother. MMA, no histogram is being plotted, I don't know why. Coming to the HMA, HMA is going to be a lot more responsive, so here it responds quite fast and we are being confirmed for the trend change quite early in the trend change scenario here. So we are going to see a lot of signals being generated by the indicator McClellan histogram when we use Hull moving average as it's one of the input. LWMA, linear weighted moving average, and other types of moving average, the SMMA. So T3, lot more smoothing. SMA, there is going to be some lag. EMA is going to be responsive at the same time, quite reliable. So its developer decided to go with the EMA. And if you are in same group, if you also think that EMA is going to work quite well, then you don't really have to make changes to its calculation parameters. But if you feel like, you can always do that. So it's always up to you. Now let's see what we can do with the output. We can color it up. We can go for the customization for the plotting of these indicator trend up and trend down can be defined with two different color combinations. Also, you can also change these plotting style. I think this bar chart system works quite well. The transparency option is also there if you want it to look less prominent on the chart compared to the price data. Then you can simply go for increased transparency and you will have it fading in the background, while also making it easier to understand the changes in the trend. When we have the histogram on the rise, we have the output defined in the white color. When the histogram starts to decline, we get these output in yellow color. so it becomes much easier to read the data. Level we have utilized 0 as a critical marker. Anything above 0 is considered bullish and anything below 0 is considered bearish. So we are using that as the signaling factor here. We can also change the style parameter for this line. You can go for color combination of your choice. All right. The levels, the advanced system, recalculate on new candle only. If you want the output to remain fixed throughout the current candle period, then you have to opt in for this, where you will have the output remaining fixed with the new candle formation. Until new candle formation takes place, you will have the output fixed. If you want the calculation period to be highlighted, you can opt in for this option and you will have this current calculation period highlighted, so you can easily see what is the calculation period without even actually looking at the input parameters. Calculate from custom data. You can customize the calculation further. You can use the instrument to be same from the chart, or you can specify on which instrument you want the charting for this indicator to be done. The calculation period can also be varied from the chart. It can be same as the chart, or you can specify any of these one candle period to be the default calculation period, and only that. Suppose if you want the candle period to be hourly regardless of what is the chart's candle period, you can do that as well. Now here we are changing the chart's time frame to 30 minutes as its candle period, but at the same time we will have the indicator being plotted with its input parameter, the calculation period being defined using the hourly as its candle period. So you will see that the plotting for the histogram of the McClellan remains the same even though the chart's candle period has been changed from half hourly to half an hourly. It is taking some time. Just wait for a couple of seconds, I think. And in that time, we should have this chart plotted and histogram in place as well. All right, otherwise we can revert it back to hourly. So the point being that you can define the candles period with further customization option, and it need not be same as the chart's candle period. Now I will restore it back to the use from the chart setup so that we get same, the candle period becomes same as the chart. The spread side can be used from the chart, or you can specify it, and there is going to be slight difference in terms of the plotting when you use different sides of the spread. If you want the indicator to be available on all the candle periods whenever you change the chart's candle period, you have to opt in for this. If you opt out of this, then you have to specify on which candle period the indicator should be appearing on the chart, and only on those candle period the histogram will appear. So you have to pick and choose here. And coming to the last editing option, the base period can be any of these five options. You can choose any of the one option here: none, 4 hours, day, weekly, monthly. And usually it doesn't really make much of a difference in terms of the plotting of the indicator. So guys, that's it from my side for the today's session of JForex indicators explained, where we saw these uses, the concept, the customization options of the McClellan histogram. I hope you have been able to understand, and preferably you will have to try it out on your own in the live session, live market scenario, and there you will get a good idea of how this indicator works. So see what are the uses. You can get out of it, and also you can try out various combinations to customize it as per your requirement, and depending on your time horizon, whether you are a short-term trader or long-term trader, you can utilize this indicator to take advantage of the opportunities arising in the market. So thank you all for joining in for further coverage of the market developments. Do check out the Dukascopy Analytics page. We are also available on the Facebook. You can reach out to us there too. For trying out this newly released trading platform, I have also included the link in the bio. So take a look. Thank you all for joining in. I will be back tomorrow with a new indicator, new explanation, new uses. We will see how interesting it gets. So do come back tomorrow. Goodbye.